Good morning. How's everybody doing? Yes? Doing good? Well, welcome to my bedroom. And I promise it's not that kind of video. It's just been a little bit crazy in the Nielsen house, and there was no place else. So I'm hiding in here today. So here we go. I think it's a good idea to go ahead and mute yourself. And you can do that in the controls, either on your phone or on the excuse me, or on your desktop there. Go ahead and mute yourself, and that way we don't hear everybody's kids, and that's totally okay that you've got kids around. It's totally not a big deal at all. I expect that. You're all moms. It's all good. But it is super helpful if you just mute yourself. So if you've not muted yourself, I may have to go mute for you. I hear somebody who's not muted. Let's see. Go ahead and mute yourself, and then we'll get started. Okay, it's getting better. So a couple of voices that I hear. Get everybody muted. Oh, good. Yay. Silence is golden, right? Okay. Oh, I still hear a couple of people, but I'm going to go ahead and get started anyways. So I hope that you guys like this avenue of excuse me, of doing meetings. So last year we did them in the Ask Melissa group, and it was just me on Facebook, and it's kind of chaotic on Facebook. And then you're typing, and I'm trying to get through all the comments, and that can be kind of a pain sometimes. So that, coupled with a lot of people have left Facebook, a lot of our Thinking, Feeling, Willing members and a lot of our customer base has left Facebook. So we wanted an opportunity to really bring to you what you needed in a forum that was easier. So I really think that this will be a good way. It'll allow everybody to have a chance to talk, and that way we'll I think we'll be able to facilitate some better community, because the thing about Facebook is it's it's a group, and so you don't have the privacy there that you'll have here, and sometimes some of the things I think that will come up will make you feel a little bit vulnerable, and that's okay. I just want to encourage you to be able to share with each other. So does anybody have questions before I get started? Anybody? So one part of there we go. It's the chat. I'm looking at the chat box too. Lennon says she's in bed with a dark sleeping baby. So you do all have the chat available to you. I'm not sure where it's at on your phone, because it's been a while since I've used Zoom on my phone, but it is there. You definitely have access to it on your desktop. So somebody was asking, will there be a replay? Absolutely. I'm going to record all of these videos. We did a video yesterday morning, for those of you who didn't catch it. And we've already got it. Trying to remember where Eric put it. I think he already loaded it up to YouTube, but I'll ask him this morning. So we did a video yesterday, and we're going to go over some of those topics for those of you who weren't in that video or haven't had a chance to see that. And it was just more of I was trying to gather more people in, because I think people still have this idea, even though I've said it over and over, that I'm not doing it on Facebook, that I'm doing it somewhere else. And so you have to register for this piece. So I want to talk about that too. But I want to go through really quick. Are you starting a new place for communicating besides Facebook? We are getting there. That's something that Kelly and I are actually working on. We are looking for other communities, other online communities that don't have the flavor of Facebook. I know that even though Facebook is making some changes and supposed to be getting better, it's never going to get, for anybody who's following the Zuckerberg trial, it's never going to get any better than that. So we shouldn't expect that. We shouldn't expect that all one day it's going to get way better. I have to be on Facebook because there tends to be a lot more people there for us business-wise, but that doesn't mean you guys have to be on Facebook. So I really want to find a space that allows us to communicate with you and be, you know, so you feel like you have community. And I'm looking for ease too. That's got an app that's got, you know, ease of accessibility for everybody. So we are working on that, and we've been neck deep, no, probably eyebrows deep in the launch, and so but things are starting to slow down a little bit finally, and so I think that you'll see next week we're going to hopefully have something in place by then. So please know that we are definitely working on things. So I want to make sure I don't miss any questions here in the chat before we get started. And for those of you who are listening to this on the replay, you don't have access to the chat. I'm sorry. I don't know that there's actually a way. I could see about downloading the transcript, but I'm hesitating to do that. But I want to also say in the chat, if you have a question that you just want to ask me, or you just want to ask one person, you can do that. You know, if you look at the little two spot on the chat, if you click the download, it'll show you everybody who's on here. So right now there's 30 people on here. And so you can send a message to just me, you can send a message to somebody else, and it doesn't have to be to everybody. So if you've got a question you want to ask, and you feel kind of weird about asking it, one, you shouldn't feel weird, but two, if you do feel weird, please, 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 just ask me. Just send me a message, and I'll try to remember to not read your name when it comes through. Just say, please, keep this private. And if you do that, then I'll, you know, if you say that part at the beginning, then I'll notice that it's not just for me. So let's see. I think that's everything. I want to go ahead and just get started and dive in. So I asked some questions yesterday. And wait, I do want to say really quick, I want to make sure you're all getting the emails. So, I've had some people be really frustrated at me that it's my fault they're not getting the emails, and I have to tell you it's not. So, there's new email spam laws that are starting to be enacted in places that aren't the United States. And because of that, the email systems are going to get tighter. You know, we have a few bad apples that have spoiled it for all of us that are actually trying to get you legitimate email. And that's because people have copied their email lists and all of these things. And the company that we moved to, Mailing Boss, they actually don't even allow a list import. So I couldn't take your list from somewhere else and import it. That's why you've had to go through each step to really get, to get integrated into our new system. So you've had to confirm your email, sometimes in a couple of different places. If you had Planning for Peace and you weren't a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, then you had to confirm your Planning for Peace membership. And you had to confirm, you know, whatever course membership other memberships that you had. Maybe you had kindergarten or, form drawing. You have to confirm yourself in each one of those lists because we can't import. So, and at first I was like, oh no. But then, you know, really what I wanted was for y'all to be responsible for your membership in our courses and to be like, yes, this is what I want. I want to make sure I'm getting emails. So I'm going to be diligent at making sure that I have everything in one place. So I'm asking that you do that you take a couple of days this week, or just, and when I say a couple of days, I mean, just as far as being on top of it. And just look, if you didn't ever get a confirmation email, please keep hunting for it. There are weird places where they're hiding spam in Gmail and in Yahoo. And if you have not one of those, please just do a quick Google search. Hidden spam in, SBGC Local or Global or whatever that other company is. Because that's one that the smaller ISPs have been the biggest problem for us. But I want you to really take a firm stand and decide that this is what I'm going to figure it out. Because once you do it for one email list, it should help populate it then for the other email list that we send through. So really what you have to do is you find that email that's stuck in spam somewhere, and you have to click the not spam button to put it back in your inbox. And then it should not come to your inbox again. If you just delete it from spam or work on it from the spam folder, it's going to keep going there because it's going to think that that's where you want it. So you want it out of spam and into your inbox. So just wanted to say that so that we can hopefully all get on the same page with regards to email. I want to say that And I'll actually talk about this here in a minute. So the first thing I want to talk about is slowing down. And I know this is going to rub some of you the wrong way, and I really hope it doesn't. I just really want you to step back and think. I've been taking notes over the last couple of days on things that I see are, I know, big struggles for a lot of you. And they were struggles for me. I mean, the slowing down one, I totally get it. You know, we live in this world that has so much coming at us that it's all we can do to just scan and see if there's something we need and then delete, or scan and go, oh, I can't do it, or whatever it might be. So I want you to really think about some things with regards to slowing down. And this may not apply to everybody, but I think it applies to a good portion of you. So that's one reason why I thought it was a good way to sort of kick off Planning for Peace, because I think that in order for you to be super successful as we're moving forward, you kind of have to have this piece in mind. So I want you to ask yourself how many mistakes you've made this week. If you want to say in the chat box, you can say, but you don't have to. How many mistakes have you made this week because you were going too fast? How many people did you offend? How many things of your kids or partner did you miss? How many red lights or stop signs did you miss? How many appointments did you miss just because you were going too fast? And at the end of that, I'm going to stick mine in there and say, how many emails did you miss? So just with our launch in general, and I promise this isn't me poking just for that, it just sort of made me realize how much people are going too fast. So yes, we had problems with some people getting their emails confirmed, but that was not the biggest issue. The biggest issue was mamas not reading, not slowing down, not looking at, like I had one mom that sent me this long email about how I should have had instructions about this and this. And I said, I did. Did you not read the instructions? Did you read the instructions? And she went back and she said, oh, I didn't read the instructions. So I know somebody is not muted here. I want to just make sure that you mute yourself. Why I want to talk about this is because if we are going too fast, then we're going too fast, we're missing things. And if you're going too fast now, it's really going to hinder what we're going to be working on for the next 5 months. So I want you, if you can think of a glaring mistake that you've made in the last few days, and that's not the only time, maybe you've jumped the gun on something, or maybe you've yelled at somebody that you shouldn't have, or maybe you felt bad about something you shouldn't have felt bad about, or you've missed something, or, I want you to sit and think about the last 7 days. And I want you to think, could this have been remedied if I had just taken a breath and slowed down? Now, I get it. You have kids, you're running from place to place, you're trying to meet everybody's needs. I get it. I have 5, remember? But one thing that's super important is that we take a deep breath and really, really, really remember why we're here. If you're here so you can rush through it as fast as you can, then it's probably not for you. You probably need to go try something else, because Waldorf education and the change that we're trying to help you make at home has zero to do with going fast and everything to do with taking your time. So I'm looking here. I want to make sure I catch all the comments. Jenna says 2 specific ones so far. I hope it's okay that I share. I'm going to actually share a couple ones here. I forgot to tell my mom, a horse lover, when Ella's riding lessons were this week, and she missed out and was very upset. I also forgot to take Ella to gymnastics yesterday. We were so busy, and this message is so timely. I am so glad. Jenna, you are a dear friend, and Jenna is actually a local mom that I know, and it's really hard to be vulnerable. I have to tell you that where I learned my lessons about slowing down, kind of a baptism by fire a little bit. In the work that I do, I'm reading your emails a lot. And it's really easy because of the volume of emails that I get. It's really easy for me to scan and go, okay, where's the problem? There it is. I'm going to solve it. Really easy. But there's like this pricking of the spirit in the back of my head that says, Oh, you better go back and read that whole email. So usually what I do is I'll write my response and then I'll go back and go, all right, I just want to make sure there was nothing in here, this email, that answered my response. And you know what? Like there was a time that like 9 times out of 10, I was like, how did I miss that in the first email? I have to go back and slow down and read. So that's my own personal like space. Hey, Mama, somebody is not muted. I would like to see everybody muted. If you think I'm not talking to you, I probably am talking to you. Here we go. All right, there we go. Let's see. Mute. I can mute you guys. There we go. I think I got it. Nope, I didn't. Somebody that has a sad baby. Would this be more helpful if you're muted? I promise to everybody. So anyways, I just wanted to share my own experience with it because it can be like really frustrating, really frustrating if you're somebody who doesn't want to slow down, who thinks, oh, I can be this fast and I can get everything done, because you're not. So you have to take a breath and slow down. So if you've heard, like I said, if you've hurt somebody's feelings this week, or you have, especially if it was your child, I want you, or your mate, somebody that you love, I want you to, I'm going to find whoever is not muted.
It's Elena. It's when the baby screams, her name pops up on the screen so you can see who it is.
Oh, okay. I was trying to find it. Let's see. Where is it? Is she at the top?
Just muted.
Okay, there we go. I promise it's nothing personal. I love your kids. It's just really hard for everybody here. And so we're all going to be on here. We got to make sure that we're taking care of that. And it's okay, because the first time I figured everybody's still figuring out the controls, so no big deal. So I really want you to think about that this next week. I want you to think about situations where you may have really upset yourself or somebody else, and situations where you really needed to slow down, and because otherwise it would have had catastrophic, or maybe it did have catastrophic, ramifications. So I want you to just slow down. This journey will be so much more enjoyable if you stop thinking about, oh, I have to get it perfect, and you start just walking the journey, taking a deep breath, understanding that it's all going to happen eventually. Do I have any questions so far? And if you have a question, you are welcome to unmute yourself, because I want you to be able to be part of this. So if you have any questions or thoughts so far, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask it. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds, and then we'll move on. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question. I feel like sometimes I'm trying to embody this slowing down and not taking so much on, but then people get mad at me for not doing the things that I'm usually doing for them.
So, like which people?
Family, like kids, husband, family.
So, like kids and husband, you have to retrain. There's no simple way about it. You really have to retrain kids and husband, and you just have to say, I really want to slow down. You have to be super honest about it and just say, I really want to slow down, and it's better for us if we do slow down. And these are the ways that I want to do it, and be very deliberate about it. I think slowing down is something that, especially, so I have a dear friend who, I'm not sure if she's on here today, but she's been talking about, she struggles with her kids being in too many activities, and how she knows she needs to slow it down. And then you just have a conversation with your kids and say, don't you miss going to friends? Don't you miss having free time? Don't you miss, because often they do, and they just can't articulate it because they're kids, right? So we have to help them with those decisions. We have to help them make those choices. And but we have to recognize it in ourselves first. And when we recognize it in ourselves, it's a lot easier than to take a deep breath and go, okay, well, we're going to slow down, because this is going too fast and I can't keep up with it, and I'm making mistakes. And that's the way I would frame it to your family. I would just say, listen, I don't feel good about this. It causes anxiety for me. It causes anxiousness for the children because I'm anxious and I'm not running the home the way I want to. I'm not showing up in our relationships the way I want to. And I want to fix that. And the way to fix that is for me to be able to take a deep breath and slow down. Does that help? Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have a thought, a question?
I was just going to add the busyness transition to like not being busy. I still have a strong memory of this. I literally took 2 weeks and didn't leave my house or do a single thing until I could do it with joy.
Right.
So I kind of had to do like almost a other people's expectation detox.
Right.
And like that, that 66 days thing, it takes, you got to reprogram your own brain first, just like all these other Waldorf things. If you're going to teach handwork, guess who has to know how to do handwork?
Absolutely.
If I want my kids to be present when I'm talking to them, guess who gets to go first, right? That boss lady thing.
Yes, ma'am.
But
boss lady, but you have to like slow down.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to share that, it was really hard for me, and I had to do it like you would detox from any other substance. Because it is a drug for your brain, because there's this loop of like, I'm important because I'm busy because I'm important. This is all important. I can't drop anything. And the escalation of it takes a while to find quiet.
It's a snowball, and then you feel like it's kind of getting it out of control.
Yeah,
and you really have to rein it in and say, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to stop and all the plates are going to fall. And it's okay. I will pick them back up as I can. So you definitely have to take that time to let them all fall so that you can properly spin them, the ones that are important. Because they're not all important. I promise they're not all important. We think they are, but they're not all important. We have to really take a deep breath and decide which ones are. And so that takes some discernment for sure. I'm checking some comments here. Does anybody else have any thoughts? I'm looking at the comments in the chat, and you are welcome to unmute yourself because we love hearing from you.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to know a little bit more. My problem is when I do settle down and say, these are the things I need to do, I'm doing it from a place of being behind, like behind on bills, like behind on everything. And so I don't have a good way. I haven't figured out how to, I guess, make the time blocking work when you're already behind on everything.
So I want to stop you for a minute, and because we're going to talk about limiting beliefs too, because I think this is a limiting belief. The limiting belief is that you're behind. So take a deep breath and decide that that's who you were. That's not who you are right now. As of today, right now, you can stop the crazy train and slow it down. Just right the second you can. You can take a deep breath. You can walk outside and get yourself grounded in some grass. Walk to wherever you can. I know some of you still have snow. I'm so sorry. Walk to wherever you can. Be in nature. Breathe in. And that would be my recommendation to get yourself reset. And then you just say, no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to look at your kids and say, I love you, but no. Right now, we're going to go and do this instead, and we're going to slow down. It's okay to look at your husband and say, I can't take on one other thing. It's okay to separate and compartmentalize where you are with your finances from where you are with everything else. Because it shouldn't all be like snowballing together. If you're feeling behind financially, that doesn't mean you should be feeling behind everywhere else. If you are, say, behind in your school lessons right now, just take a deep breath. In the grand scheme of things, it does not matter. You really just need to take a deep breath and just decide, I'm going to stop it today. And when you decide that you're going to stop it today, then it will magically change. But you have to be the one who says that it's going to stop. Does that help?
Can I share one of my favorite sayings?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I say this to Melissa all the time, and I say this to my kids. No is a complete sentence.
Yes, she does.
Stop making excuses for other people. No, it's your life. Set up some boundaries. I struggled forever with this. And once I took my own life back in control, busy wasn't so glorified. Well, I'm busy. And I have moms that'll send me messages. Well, I'm really busy. I don't have time. And I said, well, you have time to be on Facebook.
Right.
That we don't see how much you guys post and in your comments.
I promise we don't stalk you.
Yeah, we don't stalk you, but when
we don't stalk you, but when I have somebody who asks 1,000 questions and I'm like, did you really look up the answer to that?
Yeah, there's, you could be using that time to, because,
I promise we're not the old women that are picking on people. I promise.
No. But, and I'm in a different season. I have 8 kids. My youngest is 11. So I have walked busy. I know it and I get it. And I feel so bad for you guys because I've been there and Melissa's been there, and it's hard. But you have to say, no. Oh, do you want to join up? No. Can you? No.
No.
And don't give them an excuse. There's not a reason. You can say no. You
can. And I want to give a caveat to that, or not a qualifier, but a thought to that too. Kelly and I we're both Mormons, and so Mormons are crazy busy people, and we get asked to do stuff all the time, because people at church know that we're busy and know that we can do things and we can get things done. So if we can say no there, guess what? You can say no, because there are times that people say, and I just go, that just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, I can't. It's okay to say no. So I bring that up just because a lot of people go, how are you sorting through all of that? Well, I sort through it by saying no when I need to. And it's okay. It is absolutely okay to say no. It is absolutely okay to be and even if it's not no forever, and it's just no for right now. And I'll tell my kids that I'll say, Soraya, her birthday is in 10 days, y'all. And yesterday I said, honey, I cannot talk about your birthday today. I love you. We'll talk about your birthday tomorrow, but no on today. Okay, I promise we'll talk about it tomorrow, but not today. And it's not because I can't afford it or I can't. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, but mom. And I love her dearly, and I don't want to shut her down all day long. So I take 3 minutes and I sit down and I listened, and then I said, okay, I love you, but we can't talk about this all day today. I promise we'll have 5 minutes tomorrow or 10 minutes tomorrow and talk about it. But right now we need to do X. And so if you can get to that space where you're not yelling that, or you're not, assuming, one mom on here said that she often misses, I was trying to find it. She misses sometimes when, because she kind of, tones out her kids because she thinks they're going to ask for TV. So she'll get in a hurry and really they're just asking something else. And then you feel like a crappy mom. And I don't want you to feel like that. So slow down, because nothing feels worse than when you've missed something. Jenna shared when she missed something. And so her mom was really upset. I hate disappointing my mom. I am 45 years old and I hate disappointing my mom. And it happens sometimes, and sometimes it happens and I'm like, I don't care. But honestly, when it comes to something that from somebody that we love, we really, really, really want to take a deeper look at sort of what we're doing. So that was what I wanted to start with today. I really wanted to start with this idea that we need to slow down, and that we need to really be, my new favorite word is deliberate. And I'm going to have Ellie make some beautiful painting or something about it, because I really like that word. When we are deliberate in what we're doing, and that means deliberate in our rhythm, deliberate in what we're making happen every day. It's not happening to us. We're deliberate in making things happen. And I'm not talking about being a control freak. I'm not talking about, I have to control it all the time. I'm talking about being deliberate about your own personal actions as an agent, because that affects everybody. So I want you to really think about being deliberate in slowing down, being deliberate. And definitely, you asked about the time blocking. So time blocking will help you tremendously not miss things like your email. And now I understand I had mom send me a message one day and she's like, you don't understand, I like 5,000 emails. I said, delete them all and start again. Erica, I love my husband. I do not understand how he finds anything in his email, because there's like 7,000 emails in there. There's like 14 in my inbox right now. And it'll probably be down to 5 before my day is over. Today is my work day, and that's what I do on my work day. I get through everybody's emails, and I do lots of other things too. But because I time block, I'll block an hour and work on email for an hour, just an hour. So if this is something that's a struggle for you, then you've got to think about time blocking in these ways. And think about time blocking in the terms of, okay, what is it that I'm maybe behind on or feel like I'm behind on, and how can I get that chunk off of my plate first? And you know, if there are things that you're behind on, like maybe you're behind on laundry. So if you're behind on laundry, Mama, you're home all day generally, or at least a good portion of the day. You should set the alarm on your phone to go off every hour. And you and kids get up and you go and you fold laundry every hour until it's caught up. That's how you keep caught up on laundry. If you're somebody that has to go to the laundromat, then you're golden. You know, my laundromat years, they were great, because you could go and do all 16 loads or whatever at one time, fold it all, and then go home. That took 3 hours out of 1 week. It's not a big deal. So I want you to think about how to work smarter and not harder. And if you need some tips on those things, then ask in one of the groups, and we are happy to help you. I know Kelly and I have been around the block a few times, and I promise we're not the mean old ladies. Although I know some of you are thinking, these women don't know who I am. We do, I promise. It's okay. Okay, so I asked you yesterday to think of some limiting beliefs that you have. So did anybody do that and want to share what their limiting beliefs are? Now, limiting belief, if you need an example, is something like, it's too hard. And that could be in regards to planning. It could be in regards to, just about anything. It's too hard. Takes too long. I get behind anyway. Why should I do it? I don't want to do the front end of the journal because it's too hard for me to think about my emotions. It's too hard for me. So it's too hard. I get a lot. Or I don't have time is another one that I get. And that's where the slowing down piece comes in. But I wanted to know if anybody else has some limiting beliefs that they want to share. I'm going through the comments here and looking. Is anybody, please feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. I just really want to hear some of your limiting beliefs. And when you start to go down this journey of figuring out what a limiting belief is, then that limiting belief becomes like, once it's out there, like once you say it, then it's an aha of, oh yeah, that is a limiting belief. So one mom asked, what is time blocking? So we've talked about time blocking in a couple of other places. Time blocking, it sets you free. Time blocking is you do one thing for a specific amount of time. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour. And, a lot of us busy moms, we time block, okay, I'm doing the dishes for the next 20 minutes, or I'm doing laundry for the next 5 minutes. And that's all you're doing. And it's really super helpful, especially if you're sanguine and you have problems getting distracted. Because it's easy to get distracted. I would say all temperaments really benefit from time blocking. Cholerics probably have it harnessed. Sanguines need to harness it. Phlegmatics might resist it because it doesn't seem cool enough or wasn't their idea. And so once it's their idea, then it's okay. The melancholics don't think they have the time to time block. Okay, I heard somebody unmute themselves.
That was me. You talk about this in the Planning for Peace webinar.
Yes.
Done a few weeks ago, so I can link that later if everyone wants to see.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's where I talked about it. I was trying to remember which webinar I talked about it on. Thank you.
There's some really good comments in here, and I wish you guys could see yourselves the way me and Melissa see you, because you guys are amazing. The fact that you're here is amazing because you care. Now, of course, I can't find it. I think it was Stephanie talked about not harming her kids like she was harmed as a kid. I was harmed a lot as a child, and I struggled with that. And
as a limiting belief,
as a a horribly limiting belief, and it affected me for years. And just so you guys all know, while I work with Melissa now, I didn't. I was a client, and I came with huge bags of poo, huge. And we've sorted through those, and I am where I am now. The fact that you're here shows that you're better than your childhood was. The fact that you can acknowledge that and you can stop, even if you have a horrible moment and you're like, oh my gosh, my mother, my father, whoever that person is in your past came out of your voice, you know to stop yourself and say, I'm sorry, and turn that moment around.
Yep, absolutely. I think that just the gift of being able to say I'm sorry to your child is huge. And I know there's some diehard anthroposophists that would say, oh, you should never do that, it takes away your authority. And I go, no, it doesn't. It actually establishes your authority. When you can apologize to a child, then they realize the person in charge sometimes makes mistakes, and that's okay, and they love me enough to fix it. And so the fact that you can do that is huge. I'm looking here. Somebody says, and it just says it's anonymous, so I can't read the person's name. It says, my limiting belief is that I struggle to separate my personal life issues from my teaching / mom life. And this triggers guilt. Then I procrastinate. I'm amazing at planning, but tough life gets in the way too much. So, that's a limiting belief. Let's get through that. I homeschooled so the first 6 years that Eric and I were married, we were in litigation. And the 2 years previous to that, I was in litigation by myself. And so for 8 years, I lived in litigation, where I had a conversation with some lawyer or something about my kids, about my ex-husband for 8 years. It was like a giant bag of poop. It was awful, like a 300-pound bag of poop. And I have to tell you that you just have to get good at doing it when crap's going on. You just have to. And it's going to be frustrating, and there are days that it's going to drain every ounce of you. But you got to do it anyway. And that's why you got to do the plan. Having the plan in place, and I'm not just talking about the grand scheme plan. I'm talking about all the way planned, all the details, every day planned out, so that you do not have to procrastinate anything. You can be in not a great place, and you can go get a piece of chocolate or whatever it is that you need to get, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, get it together, lady. Take a deep breath, and then greet those children with a smile and get through your school. It is a limiting belief to think that you can't do it when times are tough, because I have been there.
I have another limiting belief to share.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if it's windy and horrible. We're on walk. I'm trying. That's why I kept turning myself off, because I didn't want to motion sick everybody. Because we take our long walk today, and we finally have like 40 degrees, and so we're all in our shirts, so we feel like it's so warm. Mm-hmm. So a limiting belief, and I'm a choleric married to a choleric, which should be hell on earth, but it's not. And I was really getting, I know, right? But I was really struggling with thinking that I, as the mom, as the agent, as the space holder, had to do everything. And that's my
cholerics do that to themselves.
Yeah, and it's funny because his engineer was super helpful. Like, why can't these kids do these things?
Right.
And it was like light bulb. So then we arranged the chore chart by thing and skill, and everybody has a part. And
that's amazing. I think that that's really important. I think that as cholerics, it's really easy. Like, it's super easy for me to go, just move. I will do it.
Right? I will do it right.
I can do it better and faster than you. Absolutely. Get out of my way. And every now and again, I have to say, you need to move, because this is taking way too long.
Yeah. Mostly with my phlegmatic.
It's generally not my husband, but it's definitely my children. Yeah. My husband is supposed to be like, I know you can do this faster than I can. Can you just do it? So as a choleric, definitely our arch nemesis is somebody that's not doing it fast enough. Like,
right.
What the heck? Like honestly, with our site move, it was like, it's still like moving through molasses because the melissa@waldorfessentials.com email still does not work. There's nothing I can do about it except for be stressed about it. No, I know I'm losing emails. There's nothing I can do about it because like the magic internet world says it takes 72 hours for an MX record to be fixed. That's all I can do is just go, all right, at the end of 72 hours, then I can yell at somebody, but I can't yell at anybody right now. So definitely you have to be able to sort of, really decide and be very deliberate about these limiting beliefs. And I have to tell you, it can be incredibly cleansing to have a limiting beliefs conversation with your partner. So Eric and I have, we're equally yoked and we're on the same page and we're, having a good time all the time. But we have had some blocks lately. And I think I talked about this before. My son came home in September from his mission and he was supposed to go off to college and he decided not to. And so I was like, what? The choleric in me was freaking out, trying to like rein it in and control everything. And in that, we lost a lot of business momentum, a lot. And it's hurt us. And I don't mind saying that because I'm being like super transparent. We've been like trying to get back on the place that we were at 6 months ago. And we're like, we'll get there. And then something else will suck us in. And then we had to decide, okay, wait a minute. We're the ones allowing that. We have to walk forward and we have to, horses have blinders for a reason because their eyes are like, then they can see everything. So those of you who know horses know that when you have a horse with a blinder on, it only goes forward. So sometimes in life we have to get blinders on. And I'm not saying you're not caring for everybody around you. You just have to decide what's important and what's not. If I could go back and do anything in the last 6 months, I would have been like, Harry, this is what you need to do, period. Just left him alone. Because as a phlegmatic, he would have done it. Because he loves his mother, he would have done it. It just felt like it took forever. And so the choleric in me is like, why is this taking so long? But if I take a deep breath and I try not to control everything, and I try to remember that having those limiting beliefs limits me more than it limits him. He's living the dream right now. He has his own apartment. He's by himself. He posts some crazy stuff on Facebook. I don't recommend following him. But he's not in my house and he's doing what he needed to do. And it was a limiting belief of mine that I needed to facilitate that. A huge limiting belief of mine. And so I'm telling you this because I know a lot of you have younger children and I want you to not make those same mistakes. Anybody else have any limiting beliefs? Let's see. Melanie says, my limiting belief, I won't implement what I will plan. Okay. That's a good one. This talk about limiting beliefs is so timely. Val says, I have been journaling about how many limiting beliefs I have. For me, so many are fear-based. Isn't that funny how fear rules us? Whew. And fear can rule, I don't want to get into a religious conversation, but fear can rule even the heart of somebody who feels like they are strong in the spirit. Fear can rule us. And so we have to make sure that we take a step back from that. These fears translate into a lot of limiting beliefs, roadblocks that now I see them and working through. Yep. Once you can see them, I think that once you can like get that limiting belief out, that's why I wanted to have you guys talk about them today. So if you're not willing to sort of talk and let us know what your limiting beliefs are, either through the chat or take a minute at the microphone, it's okay. But this is what I want you to do when you're done. Because I know some people are super private and they just will never do that. And that's totally fine. When we're done here, I want you to go in the bathroom and shut the door and turn on the shower so nobody can hear you. And I want you to say your limiting belief out loud. And then I want you to get brave. And hopefully you and your partner are equally yoked or working to be. And I want you to be able to say your limiting belief to your partner today. And if that's not possible, just drop me a PM and tell me what your limiting belief is. I want you to get it out because it needs to get out. Once it gets out, you can hear how silly it sounds and then you can work through it. Then you can unpack it. You can really fix it. Does anybody else have any limiting beliefs before we move on? I'm facing the fear. I'm reading here. Reading these.
Well, you're reading. I'm going to say something. So I'm extremely choleric. I'm married to a melancholic. It's great. So as a choleric, I would get in that mindset when I was still, my kids were younger, and I was trying to do circle time and implement all these things. And I had a bunch more kids surrounding me all the time that didn't work out. It didn't look like what I planned. It didn't look like what was in my brain. It didn't look like what was on somebody else's blog or Instagram page or Facebook page. So I would just give up. Be like, well, the day's over. That was a waste. And it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. And so that's not true. It's not over. And I don't care if it's 5 o'clock at night. When you get it together for that day, then do it. Don't think, well, I planned this out and it didn't work that way, so I'm just going to give up and go get on my phone and go sit on Facebook and do whatever.
Yeah, don't do it. Right. Agreed.
We have a very common thing here where we reset our day, and I don't care if it's 6 a.m. I don't care if it's 6 p.m. We start from that moment. The rest, whatever happened before, is done and over with, and we start over. So there's always that time to try again. And it's never going to look like somebody's blog post or Instagram or whatever, because that is 3 seconds of their day. You see the cute picture of them all sitting on the table and the candle burning and all that, and you don't see all the other crazy going on behind that.
There was a time about 5 or 6 years ago when blogging was really huge, and I was spending a lot of time telling moms, and this was before Pinterest was big and Instagram was big, but I spent a lot of time telling moms, hey, you need to take a deep breath, because all of those big bloggers are probably clients of ours. So I promise, if you turn the camera around, it doesn't look like that. So you really have to take a deep breath and not compare, because comparison is like the devil of progress. It's one thing to know where somebody else is as a benchmark, and hey, I'd like to be in that place. We all have people that we aspire to be like, at least the choleric self of me totally does. Like I can remember for a lot of years when we were going through our court stuff, there was a family at church, and I just loved them. I just wanted to sit behind them in church, because maybe some of that would rub off on me. And she was just a happy mom, and her kids seemed like they behaved. Her kids were a little bit older. And then she said to me, because I had told her, I confessed this to her. I said, I had to tell you that you're my hero. And she started laughing. She gave me this big hug, because she was probably 10 years older than me. She gave me this big hug. She said, I had to tell you that when Jack, her husband, she said, when Jack was in his medical residency, because he was a doctor, she said, I never came to church, because when I did, I was a basket case. And I felt like I was trying to control these children all the time. And so she said, I had to do some things at home, and I couldn't do it. She said, so to have you tell me that I am your hero, I wanted to make sure that you knew what the whole ugly inside of the hero looked like, that I haven't always been this calm mom, that I had to walk through places and get through like doing it alone because my husband was doing his residency, or sorting through how to figure out how to have all these kids. I had to figure all that out before I could become the calm person that I am here. So it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's a journey of sort of sorting that out. And you have to realize that you don't get to that journey or that space or that person that you want to be like without doing all the work that they did. And so that's one thing that I laugh about when people say things to me like, man, I just need to know the secrets. And I go, well, the secret is you got to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to be willing to do all of the steps in order to have the peaceful life. And so that's really where we are starting with this Planning for Peace journey. So I know that all of you that are on here have a copy of at least the digital, and I promise I'm almost caught up on orders, almost. I should be caught up totally today. So if you're waiting on your journal, I am so sorry. The last 2 weeks have been like crazy. And so it has been crazy. So I want you to not stress about not having it yet, because really I'm not going to give you a bunch of assignments from it at this point. We're going to have live videos every 2 weeks. And so the next one is on the 26th. And I'm telling you that now so that, if you can catch it live, I know this is not the right time zone for a lot of you, but it is the best time zone, honestly, for people, for most of the world to catch it. And so that's why we're doing it now. So if you have to listen to it on the replay, it's totally fine. Totally fine. But I want you to be engaging, and I want you to, when Kelly and I do find another community, we probably will do a Planning for Peace space there. I'm just not going to do a separate Facebook community at this time. I may change my mind, but I know that that's not what everybody wants, and I don't want to exclude people who don't want to be on Facebook. And so please feel like you can message me, ask me questions, and I'm happy to make sure that if you can't join live and you have a question that you want me to bring live, I am happy to sort of bring it live when we have our next chat. I will be doing emails on the week in between to sort of keep you going. So the next live event though is the 26th, and you'll get an email about that and some information about that. So if you are still having struggles with email, I want you to write in big letters on the top of your to-do list today, sort out my email. So if you need to email us or PM me and ask me a question about how to sort out your email or thoughts about sorting that out because maybe you haven't gotten the confirmations, I have some tricks that I've been sharing that there are places that Gmail and Yahoo hide things. And so if you're not using one of them, it's okay. We'll sort it out. Like I said, we'll just Google hidden emails in whatever your ISP is and see if we can find your emails that way. So I want you to feel confident that we're going to help you solve this. And so write down that it's the 26th. If you don't get something from me by that week, then you probably ought to message me and say, I'm still not getting emails, because I will be doing an email next week. So before we start the evaluation portion, something came up in another group. A couple of moms have already dove in, and I'm totally fine with that. It's great. And they're stuck on the page about confidence. And so I wanted to talk about that really quick. You don't have to start it now, but I want you to be thinking about it. A lot of moms were really struggling with the time. Let's see. I was trying to remember which question it was. I remember feeling confident as a child. I was confident in, and then you're supposed to fill in the blank. So a lot of moms are really struggling with that one because they can't remember a time in their childhood that they were confident. So I'm going to ask you, if this is you, excuse me, if this is you and you have a good relationship with somebody who knew you as a child, I would like you to get in touch with that person. I would like you to get in touch with that person, and I would like you to ask them, do you remember when I was a child? Do you remember times that I was happy and confident? Because I'm having a hard time remembering them. Can you help me with that? So that might be a really hard journey for you to ask that person. But if it's somebody that you trust and you have somebody in your life that was in your life as a child that you love, that you feel like you can trust, I want you to ask them that question. Because if you're really having a hard time filling that one in, one thing that I know as a mom that's walked this path for a while, we see things differently as adults than we did when we were 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 on that. And so we have to be really careful. We have to be really careful to not put those issues like that we had when we were that age, to not be having those be our calling card. And so I want you to really think about it. Now, if you don't have somebody in your life that you can go and talk to about a time that you were confident as a child, and if this is really painful, like a lot of moms said, I just skipped that part. Don't skip it. Because that's what I said. Oh, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it until you cannot skip it. So I want you to really take some time when you get, if you have your journal and you're ready to go through that part, go ahead. If you don't have your journal yet and you're like kind of tenuous about it, or I just want you to really meditate about what you're going to write and really think about it. I want you to think about this confidence piece, because the confidence piece is so very important for the overall. It's important in your partnering. It's important in your parenting. It's important in how you show up as a friend. It's important in all of those places. And so it's important in your schooling. So I want you to really think about that one. If you are still really, really struggling with this confidence piece, And some of you won't be. Some of you, it doesn't matter what temperament you are. Some of you will say, no, I feel perfectly confident. I feel like I know what I'm doing, or, when I have an issue that I struggle with, I sort it out. I remember being confident as a child. I have places of confidence in my life. Some of you will not have this issue at all, but some of you are really struggling with it. And so I really want you to take some time and really sit with it. And so I want you to, I guess, in sitting with it, my hope is that you will find at least one time in your childhood when you felt really good and you felt like you were cared for, you were loved, or that you had it, that it was okay. And I'm not saying that you had the nuclear family, because guess what? I didn't have that either. I didn't have that either. Had divorced parents. I was raised by a single mom who spent the time from the time I was probably in 5th or 6th grade until I was well into high school. Right before I graduated, she finally graduated college. And then she started a master's program. So it was just she and I. And while there wasn't abuse in my later life after my father left, there was struggles when I was younger. And so it was a perfect storm for struggles in my life. And, then I had daddy issues. So I married somebody that wasn't going to help those daddy issues, and that practice husband. I love that term, by the way, Kelly. That practice husband term, I use it all the time. It's really funny. Kelly's the one who introduced me to the practice husband term. I had a practice husband who I know I attracted. And again, I'm like on this, like I absolutely believe I attracted because of my issues with my dad. I never sorted those out. And so definitely, as I have a daughter that is like heading into that world, I want her to attract somebody like her stepdad, not somebody like her birth father, because that would be a train wreck. And so, I'm on it. I'm paying attention because of the things that I had going on. But I definitely had moments of confidence. And I had moments of not being confident. I think in general, my hope is that you can say, yes, I had moments when I was confident and I had moments when I wasn't. And if that's not your reality, it's okay. You have something to say, Miss Kelly?
I do, because I weighed in on this conversation and I struggled with this. As much work as I've done and as much conversations as me and Melissa had, I literally stared at that paper and I closed the book and I got up and I was like, I'm not even with this.
I'm not going to do it.
So I've absolutely been there where I'm not doing this. And I realized that if I didn't do it, I was going to be stuck, and I'm not a fan of being stuck. So, and Melissa said, find someone from your childhood to ask. I don't have anybody from my childhood. My parents are both deceased. My stepfather conversation's not happening. My grandparents are gone. I have nobody to ask. I'm the oldest of my siblings. So
nobody on this side of the veil, at least.
Yeah, nobody on this side that could answer these questions for me. So I started with my husband. He is I had a practice husband also. And I call him that because it taught me what to not do when I really got married. So I've now been with my husband now for over 20 years. I came with 3 kids. He's adopted them and raised them. But I was severely abused as a child. I grew up in domestic violence and all these things. And so my childhood was marred by all of that. And I carried that into my adulthood. And so I was in a place where it was like, well, it was just all bad. Everybody told me I was bad. It was awful. Nobody ever said anything nice to me, all that. So I had to get to a place where my husband could build me up enough to tell me what I was good at now and those things I was good at now. And then I realized, I got out pictures one day to sort through for my kids, and I found pictures of me when I was little, and there's pictures of me. I did beauty pageants. It's awful. Please don't do that to your children. But it creates other issues. But but I was good at it. So, there were those moments. But the best thing I found was there was a picture of me roller skating, and I was really good at it. As simple as, and my kids will do things and it'll trigger me. I taught them the other day how to play Chinese jump rope, and I can remember playing that by myself. I'd hook it on chair legs, but I was So these little things you can pick up from your kids of, I remember doing that as a child. There is something that you had confidence in and that you were good at, no matter what it is. And there's other ways to find that in that way. And no matter how, I have a child that I didn't get to be her mom until she was 5. Her background is horrific, absolutely horrific, things you can't even imagine. And yet, even in that, she can look back and think of a few good memories that she had and things that she was good at back then and things that she enjoyed before she came to our family. So there's beauty from ashes somewhere, but I
hope you're writing those down for her. I hope you are.
Oh yeah.
She'll forget them. She'll forget them and she'll be 30 and she'll be like, there was nothing. It's very interesting to me that since you say that children that come from abuse, there is generally something, if you can catch it when they're little and you can catch them saying that when they're little. Harry, Jacob, and Ellie, they all talk about something. Oh, remember when? So every day wasn't horrible with my ex for them. They had moments in there. And our job, I think, is to really help them remember those moments. Don't you?
I absolutely agree, because I didn't have anybody to remind me of those moments. As an adult, when I struggled when my mom was still alive, I was being over dramatic. When I came searching for something good from my childhood, it was, oh, you're being over dramatic. It wasn't that bad. And me and my siblings would hear that all the time. Oh, it wasn't that bad. And I was like, okay, are you kidding me with this? My mother died at 52 from stress-related illness. Tell me again, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
So stress will kill you. And somebody mentioned that earlier. I saw in the comments about having, I think it was Yolanda, she had a health crisis. And stress creates health issues, and that me and Melissa have both had massive health crisis because we had all this stuff and we didn't do this work. And that's why she pushes so hard for you guys to do the planning now. And there's these hard questions because we don't want you to be in a health crisis. And then you're laying in
that kills, I'm telling you, it does.
It absolutely does. And when you're laying in that hospital bed and you have all the free time in the world and nobody needs to be at gymnastics and you don't need to bring dinner to anybody and the laundry's still sitting at home, you're going to realize what's important. And we don't want you to get to that point.
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am. I was bored out of my skull for 9 days. bored. But no, you don't want to be in that place. It's kind of, I don't want to say humiliating. It is humility driven, for sure. I mean, I know that it was a huge humbling for me when I had my stroke. And I don't know what emotion that brought up for you, Kelly, when you had your incident, but I know that it felt very lonely. It felt very lonely to be, and I'm not talking about not having people around, because there were people around, but it felt very lonely for a reason, because I needed to figure out why I was there. I needed to figure out that while I teach a lot of this stuff and I work through it and I do all of these things, there is an underlying something that builds if you don't take care of that stress. If you don't force yourself to slow down and get out of those situations, if you don't decide, I am done with this X, Y, and Z, I can't handle this anymore. If I could go back and do anything with all the litigation that we were in the first 8 years of our marriage, or 6 years of our marriage, I would have said, Mr. Lawyer that I hired, you deal with that. I'm not going to deal with that so much. But I let myself be drawn into everything because it's really hard not to. It's really hard not to. But if I could go back and tell myself something, that would have been the number one thing. Also would have told myself to say no more. And so if you're in that space now where you can see it spiraling, I want you to decide, okay, I can decide today to not be in that issue or not be in that space. And don't think that because you have you're really healthy and you run every day and you do a lot of exercise, that makes you immune from high blood pressure and stroke issues. Because most people that have those issues, because I did all this research afterwards, most people that have those issues didn't have them before the day they had their stroke. And it just happens like that. So you have to really take care of what you're doing and really decide deliberately. Okay, ladies. Does anybody have any questions before we get moving here? I think we're going to be done. I know a lot of you are needing to sign off. I want to keep these at about an hour, and I know we've gone a little bit over today. But I really wanted to give you a good start. I want you to be thinking this week, recap, what are your limiting beliefs, and what are you doing about them? Make sure you say them out loud to somebody today. Type them out to me. Go say them out loud in the bathroom, something. And let's work through those limiting beliefs. If we can at least get them out, it will make the front end of the journal so much easier. so much easier for you to get through, because you don't get to skip it. You don't get to skip those.
Melissa, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
So what should we work on for the next 2 weeks?
For the next 2 weeks, I want you to work on your limiting beliefs for the next week. I just want you to start with the next week, because you're going to get an email from me next week. So I want you to work on your limiting beliefs, and I want you to work on slowing down. So if you need to slow down and you are making mistakes, so I want you to examine the last 7 days. Have you been making mistakes? And what are those glaring mistakes, and what are the patterns? What was it that you were doing that those mistakes showed up? But those limiting beliefs, I think, are huge. And if you want to get started, if you've got your journal and you want to get started on the first month one portion on some of the evaluations, please go ahead. We're going to go through the evaluations deeply when we get together next time. And I want you to especially be thinking about that confidence piece, because that confidence piece, I had so many people tell me, I just skipped that page. Don't skip it. Don't skip it. It's like the second part in the evaluation. So, you've got your first portion where you're evaluating, you're giving a number to all of your pieces, rhythm, personal, family, holding the space, all of those. But then there's this part on confidence. And I really want you to work on that piece and really feel like you can give a good answer. You don't have to tell me that answer if you don't want to. You don't have to tell the group that answer, but I want to make sure that you know what the answer is, and don't skip that page. If you need a visual, this is what that page looks like. I want you to not skip that page. So that's your assignment for right now. Your assignment is to really dig into this confidence piece, and then we'll go from there. We'll go from there in an email.
So can I ask one question about that top box?
The last time I felt really confident in the parenting part. Yep, go ahead.
So do you have to be confident in all three?
No. But
do you want a sentence about all three, or can it be separate?
Yes, you could pick the last time you felt confident in your parenting and write one sentence. Last time you felt confident in your marriage, and write another. Last time you felt confident in your homeschooling, you write another. It's great if they're all three at this. You can do all three at the same time. But if that's not where you are right now, that's totally okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody else have any questions as we wrap up? Somebody says Denise says the last box on that page was the hardest for me. I feel like if we worked through it, do we need to revisit it? Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Melissa.
Every year, because I want to make sure. Because what happens is we go, oh, I did that, and I don't have to think about it again. And I'm not saying that you have to do all the work again, but I want to make sure that nothing new comes up. And so that's what the evaluation process is about. So mom said to me, this is what mom said to me yesterday. I mentioned this in yesterday's video. She said, I had this amazing school year. We're coming to the end of it. It's so good. So many good things. And I said, that's great. I want you to tell me one bad thing. She's like, why? I said, because if you don't know what the one bad thing is, or there was nothing that you could do better, then you're going to set yourself up for failure. I want you to be able to look at all of the pieces and go and accept the good and accept the bad. When we can accept the poop with everything else, then the poop with the roses, then we're in good shape. So yes, you have to do it. You don't have to work through the emotion of it, but I definitely want you to be able to say, these are my feelings about it. My feelings haven't changed. I still feel good about it. Or I sorted through this, and write that you sorted through it. And I still feel like I'm in a good place for that. Because again, my idea is that you're going to keep these journals year after year. And so you'll be able to go back and say, 2018, this is how I was feeling about this. That way, if it's poo on your shoe and it comes back, you can go back and look and read what you wrote. And it's helpful. I hope that helps. Does it help? Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts?
Melissa, do you have an overall timeline for progressing through the Planning for Peace journal? I know it's a 6 month.
It's about 5 months. It's about 5 months, and we will tackle each month as as it comes. So in April, between now and the first part of May, we're going to get through month 1, and then we'll get through month 2. The idea was that we would have a little extra time in August. And so that's why we're starting in April, so that because the reality is most of us will take some sort of break in the summer. And so that's okay. It's totally okay. But I want to not set you up for failure with regards to your planning. So the idea would be that you could get through the planning and that then you could take that break. Does that make sense? I don't know who asked that because it doesn't show me on here who asked that. Anyway, if it doesn't make sense, please ask it. I will clarify. Let's see. I'm looking at any questions here. Oh, Maiden, you have a question? Are you on the microphone or do you want to ask it in the chat?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, yay! Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Just two questions really, and I thought it'd be easier to ask. I had already asked about which was the planner that I should print, because I have 3 different ages, and I thought that my oldest, who's 15, would be okay to manage his own, and he's really not. So I need to do one that would be for in September. He'll be starting in grade 10, and then I'll have Cassius will be doing grade 1, and Sachi will be the kindergarten 2.
So this is what I would do. I would do the mixed ages one, and then just add in. I would just add in some kindy pages, especially since you're printing it yourself. So start with the mixed ages planner, and then also open the kindergarten planner. What's great, if you have Adobe Acrobat, you can meld some of those together, or you could just print out extra pages and slip them in there. And in that case, if you're going to print it, I would put it in a binder. And I know there's sometimes people don't like that. Or you can coil bind it once you have it all together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you don't think that I should do the mixed grades one and then maybe use last year's planner for Sachi to do?
You can do that too. You can absolutely do that. Sure. You could do the grades, the one that's just the big kid one that's just got grades. There's more room in there. Sure, you could just do that one. You'll have extra, so don't print everything that you need, because the mixed grade, the grades only. I had a hard time naming them all.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I really did. The grades only edition has enough space for 3 children's main lessons. So what I would do is, if you're going to use that one, just don't print all of the extra pages. Otherwise you'll hate yourself, because it's like,
what if I was to order it, and it's not going to take too long, would it, if I was to order it now, or do you think I should just go ahead and print?
It's up to you. If you're going to order it, it shouldn't take, like I said, I'm almost caught up. So I should be caught up by the end of today. So it shouldn't take very long. At all. Like the normal time, 10 days or so.
Yeah. It's
You guys on the other side of the ocean tend to get them faster than the people in the United States. I don't know what that's all about.
Very strange. Can I ask one more thing? May I ask one thing very quickly? I've kind of not been with things lately. So did I hear you say that you're not doing Facebook with this? Or
we're not doing. Last year we did it on the Ask Melissa group, and that was good. But I think it was really distracting for a lot of people because they couldn't actually talk to me. It was just more typing. And it brought in a lot of people that were, sorry, there's a siren. Somebody must have fallen off the cliffs. That happens here all the time. I shouldn't laugh. But I go, what? You didn't see that there's like ocean there. You should not walk right there. So last year when we did it in Facebook, it was distracting because there were people that were coming in that were not actually doing the work. And so it was distracting for some of the people that were doing the work, and it was very fragmented for those who weren't. So I really wanted people to commit. And in doing that, we're doing the Zoom chats instead of Facebook. And I don't think I'm going to do a separate Facebook group, although Kelly and I are looking for a community kind of place. So if you are hearing this and you know of a community kind of place that has an app, please let one of us know, because we are searching. We're looking at different options where, and again, an app is necessary because so many moms have smartphones. I know that's not everybody, but I wanted a community situation that was not Facebook, that we could start using, not just for Planning for Peace, but we'll be using it also for Thinking, Feeling, Willing, and some of our other programs as well. And it won't 100% replace Facebook because it's just, that's not possible. But I would really like an option for moms who don't want to be on Facebook, because I have to tell you, new moms, moms are messaging me every week saying, I'm leaving. I want to make sure that you have me confirmed on your email list so that I can get your emails and so that I know what's going on, because I can't stand it here anymore. And, you know, of course there's options. You could always set up a dummy profile and not have any friends on it. But I think that's still distracting. And I get it, because, you know, on my phone, I can look at Facebook and only look at the groups. But when I'm on the desktop, it's everywhere. It's a big giant mess, and there's news over here, and there's suggested groups over here. I don't need all that. I just want. So I understand, and there's so much negativity wrapped up in it. So yes, the answer is we're going to be looking for someplace else, but we're not going to leave you out in the breeze. We'll make sure that everybody's connected. Does that help?
Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
That was a really long answer.
Thank you.
You know me, I can't give short answers. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Gaia.
Hi, Gaia.
I don't know what happened to my picture. I haven't figured out how the video part works.
That's okay.
But my question was, I know you had said to start with this before actually producing a curriculum.
Yes.
So how long would I wait, do you think?
Well, I think you can. I wanted you to have the opportunity. This is when we talked last night. My thought process behind this was, I wanted you to have the opportunity to get started reading the journal, and then let's talk about which curriculum you need. And I know you said you wanted to start doing Waldorf next week. I think that is perfect. I think what needs to happen is when you get ready to buy your curriculum, let's you and I talk about making sure that, because I sort of mentioned that there were some catch-up things that will need to happen for your child before she starts 7th grade in the fall. And so I want to make sure that all those history portions are in place for you. And that's what I would spend time doing. That's what I would spend time doing now. So let's talk about, let's message back and forth today. Today's my work day, so I'll be at my desk most of the day, like the last 2 weeks, although that's not normal for me. It's not. So let's talk about exactly what they need. I just really wanted you to get your feet wet in the journal first, because this is a key piece to allowing you to be able to walk forward and really feel like you're doing good at this your first year. And we have some, I know there's moms on here that did this last year who I'm sure would be happy to tell you that doing the journal changed how they did their school year. And it changed how they worked with things. And so we've had some really good feedback from people that experienced the journal last year. Last year was our first year with this journal. And it really was a creation of what I do every year. And it just didn't occur to me that people didn't do the same thing. But now you have the benefit of that. Does that make sense? So definitely message me and let's make sure that they're placed. I know you were concerned about your daughter that's going into 7th grade. I want to make sure that we get all of her history portions in before you move forward. I think your son that's about to be 10 is fine. I think you could finish 3rd grade up if you wanted, or not. And I can give you some tips about that one too.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. I think that Erica says she set up Facebook literally because she joined Thinking, Feeling, Willing. I promise, I really want to work with you guys that don't want to be on Facebook, as I get it. I think that's everything. Does anybody else have any questions? Denise, I don't know what you're listening to, but you're dancing. I love it when I can see everybody's face. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to go through I'll go through the chat and after I turn everybody off and see if I missed anything. And if I missed something, please just feel like you can send me a message and I'm happy to help. Okay? All right, everybody. Do you have something to say, Denise?
There's no music. This is just me needing to move around.
Okay, all right, very good. This lady, she dances to her own drum.
I love that she's using her VIP kid background.
This is where my computer is.
Denise teaches English to people that don't speak English. This is where she does it.
Yes. And that's why I have on lipstick, because I was up at 5 a.m. teaching.
You're gorgeous. Everybody, I want you to all go have a wonderful day. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and you'll hear from me in the next couple of days for next week's assignment. Bye. Let's see. Stop recording.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.